Hello, welcome to today's video. Today we are wrapping up my Camp NaNoWriMo experience while I eat breakfast. So, yes. If you're wondering why my hair is the way that it is, I slept with curlers in just to give them a go. I wasn't expecting it to be so effective. And I don't know how to style this, so it's doing what it's doing. If it's too much to look at, just like open a new tab and listen and don't look. I'm gonna drink my coffee, I'm gonna eat my toast, and talk about where camp went wrong for me. So my goal for camp was 25,000 words. I really did think it would be easy, but no. I really didn't anticipate struggling with it as much as I did. I did regular Nano last November and very easily got the 50k. So I don't know exactly what went so wrong this time. I ended up getting just over half of my goal. I got 13,757 words, which is not as many as I thought I would. Last Nano, I got 10,000 words in 5 days. This month, it took me about 2 weeks to get that, and then I just kind of stopped writing. Not on purpose, but like, writing's kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie, writing's kind of difficult. I think this time I just didn't get myself into the right kind of place to write. Last Nano, I shaped my entire month around the fact that I was going to be writing, and this time I didn't. I ended up just writing late at night, like in bed, and it just isn't the same. To be fair, this camp, I had a pretty productive first 2 weeks. I was pretty much on track, feeling good, but then the kind of motivation wore off and I hadn't put myself in a place where I was able to continue. During Nano, I had all of these things in place so that when I was struggling, I'd be able to keep going, and I just didn't do that for camp. I also had a bunch of stuff happening in terms of life things, and everything was kind of everywhere. I think the main reason that I found it so hard to write was that I'm doing a second draft. I have never in my life written a second draft, and trying to do that during a Nano month is just not good, especially for the first time, especially because I had no idea what I was doing. It's just not good. Before camp, I hadn't written since Nano. I'd barely even thought about my story since then. So I am glad that I did it. It's definitely gotten me back into it. It's gotten me thinking about all the ways that it's gone wrong, and so I'm able to work out how to make it better. So looking at my daily word count, this chart is absolutely all over the place. The first 2 weeks, it was very up and down. I'd write a lot one day, barely write the next day, and I think that really shows just where I was at. I wasn't able to be consistent because I just wasn't in the right place to be writing. And then at the 2 week mark, I completely drop off, and I'm getting between basically 20 and 150 words a day, which is not good. Then I ended up getting 1,000 words one day and really believing that I was back in it, but I just wasn't. I think that if we look at my overall progress, it just shows how little I was writing a day. Again, the first 2 weeks I'm staying pretty much on par, and then it's a straight line for the second half of the month. I just wasn't writing. In terms of my actual story, I wrote 5 chapters and then 2 separate scenes. So definitely not a whole draft at all, but I do think the words I was getting were better than the first draft, and I do like where I was taking it. Because I hadn't thought the first draft through because it was for Nano, I definitely had a lot of dead ends and weird things that I had to fix. And I definitely started doing that. One thing I'm really happy with is that I've actually started naming characters. And I know that sounds silly, but I feel like this is kind of a common thing. Whenever I'd introduce a new character that was, not very important but needed to be there, I didn't have a name for them. And so I would just write in caps, just brother or so-and-so's friend. This time, I've actually gone through, I've named people, they have descriptions and personalities, and that's such a step up from the first draft. There is magic in this story, and every character has their own form of magic. I didn't know anybody's other than the two main characters. And now most of the side characters have a form of magic, which is really good and helpful because that does influence the story. Because why would the two main characters be able to use their magic and no one else can? You know, I need to know what everyone else can do. I also worked out the like context mythology, like in-world mythology around magic, which didn't exist in the first draft. There was no reference to like where anyone thought magic came from or like any belief system. But I feel like in a world with magic, it's this tight-knit kind of community of magical users. There's gonna be some kind of belief. There's gonna be a reason some families think they are more magical than others. And so I've developed that, and I'm really happy about all of that. I think that during camp, I really worked out the ground information, the world building, and even though it's not in the draft, because I barely wrote the draft, I'm learning more about this world, and that's definitely like necessary. I need to know these things before I can write. So yeah, technically I failed camp. I didn't hit my word count goal, but I don't know if I consider it really a fail. I've worked on the story so much more than I would have if it wasn't camp. I've developed so many areas of the story, and sure, I didn't get words, but I understand the characters so much better than I used to. I like that camp is a little more flexible, and sure, I went into it with the idea of writing for a certain amount of time or getting a certain amount of words, but at the end of the day, I decide whether or not I won or failed camp, and I don't think I did fail at all, because I've relit that spark for the story. I kind of got to a point where I didn't care about the story, and I do again, and that's wonderful. And I think about these characters all the time. Whenever I'm listening to music especially, I'm just like, oh my god, so-and-so would love this song, or oh my god, this is so that scene where they do this. Like, I'm thinking about this story all the time, and I wouldn't be if it wasn't for camp. And so sure, say I failed, I don't care, because I'm really happy with the progress I've made, and yeah. But where do we go from here? What do I do now that camp is over, that I failed, I guess? What do I do now? I need to outline the story. If you have watched the vlogs for this camp, you'll know that I never had an outline for my second draft. I was using my draft 1 outline as well as draft 1 as an outline, which is not right. I shouldn't have done that. But moving forward, I need to do a really good, thorough outline so that I know what the hell is going on. I also need a full character list with descriptions, with their magic, with all the details that I need, because I did find myself during camp forgetting who was who, or not so much who was who, but who was named what in terms of like physical descriptions. There are two side characters who are kind of like a package deal. They're always seen together. And I definitely swapped them around a few times because I just couldn't keep straight who was who. Another thing I didn't do before trying to start my second draft is reading my first draft. I tried to write a second draft without having reread the first draft. Don't do that. I didn't know what I was writing. I was reading it and then trying to rewrite it without knowing what comes next. And sure, I know what comes next, but I wasn't really sure how I had written it. Overall, I think the main message here is don't be me and actually do like the prep work before you try and do the real work. I really do think prepping is like half of the job, and I didn't do it, which is why I'm in the position I'm in now. Earlier in the year, I shared some of my writing goals for the year, and I'm pretty sure I said I wanted a full second draft done by the end of the year, and I still think I want that, but I also know that I need to do a bunch of prep work for another project that I'm going to be working on later in the year. I think that this Magic Blooms, my camp project, is going to have to go on the back burner. I'm going on a trip overseas later this year, and while I'm there I want to do a bunch of research for a future project. It's something I've been working on since I was like 16, and it's a world kind of inspired by a place that I'm going to be, and I need to know what I need to learn while I'm there. I said that in the worst way possible. I need to work out what information I need to find, because I'm only there for, you know, a short amount of time. I want to be taking photos and videos to then be able to work into this world that I'm creating. And there's certain research that I can't really do from here. There's a lot of resources that I just don't have at my disposal from Australia, so I need to do that all while I'm overseas. And so I think I'm going to do a lot of the groundwork for my current project, a lot of like rereading, taking notes, outlining, but I don't think I'm going to be writing that second draft until I get all of the research for this next project done. I've been sitting on my foot and now it's gone to sleep and it hurts so bad. Ow! So yeah, that's that. Camp is over and I'm pretty happy with what I got done, what I've learnt. I failed, but I don't care. But I think that's all I've got time for today. I'm gonna go and finish my breakfast because I kind of forgot it for a while because I just got talking. But yes, so I'm gonna go. Did you do camp? Let me know how you went. Did you win? And what does winning mean to you? Did you hit a certain word count? Work for a certain amount of time? Or do you consider yourself a winner because of something you realized during camp, like me? Let me know. You can like this video if you liked it, you can subscribe. I upload twice a week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.